everyone, welcome back to RTS and welcome back to another Record the Story using the load event. Yes, so excited to do this because it's a very fun story. So I'm so excited. You know how I feel about the load event, and you know if you want to know about the load event, just look down below. There's information and a discount code. So we have one coming up in October. If you're interested in that, you do need to be a ScrapHappy member, but it's for the whole month of October. So I need to get finished with this load event. Yes, I paid for it, so I need to get, I want to get my money's worth. So what I'm going to do today is day 5, which, of course, it's about out of this world and space and galaxy and meteors and all that type of thing. So we have one, and this was basically what I got from it. Houston, we have a problem, or you've had a problem, a moment that's caused a problem, or you could do a layout with a large number of embellishments. So how I took this prompt, now sometimes I'm all over the place, and that's saying it mildly. Okay, so I'm so excited about this prompt because my husband is going to die with laughter when I do this. Okay, so recently I did a layout about a restaurant in Lancaster, and this one will be about the same thing, because when you're in Lancaster you eat. Basically everything closes at 5, so you have to eat. That was a little bit of a joke. Okay, so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to use the load prompt in conjunction with a simple stories collection called Vintage Blessing. Now, when did this come out? Let me see. When did this come out? Because I wanted to ask a question, and maybe I wanted to see what... Okay, it came out last year, 2017. So I wanted to say, did you guys consider this... did you consider this a fall line? Because I have it just in like home life, so in my paper categories. So, and I just did a video about that recently. So this is why I was thinking about this collection. So did you consider this a fall line, or where are you putting it in your paper category section of your paper? And again, I don't know if I just said this. I've done this 5 times. That video about paper categories will be listed below if you're interested in seeing how I do paper categories, and also to my subscribers how they handle paper categories. So I'm anxious to know, where did you put this? It's Vintage Blessings. It definitely has a home, kitchen, but then it has a little bit of a fall vibe. So interesting. I don't know if I would use it just for fall, but it kind of gives you that feel. But anyways, I'm going to use it for a little bit of both. So I'm going to use my Simple Stories Vintage Blessing collection. Now I will give a little quick insight as how I do paper categories in my paper section. Is that I have the manufacturers, well, no, let me back up. I separate all my paper collections with copy paper, manufacturer's info. If I have a 12 by 12 sticker sheet that I want to keep with this collection till I'm done playing, it is there. And then bing, bang, boom, my scraps. That is how I do every one. And I love that little mini formula for doing my paper collections. And so Simple Stories Vintage Blessing, very, very pretty line. And then what am I going to do for a sketch? Well, changing things up, folks. So I'm going to use a 1-page sketch by Allison Davis called Simply Sketches. And if you have this little mini sketchbook, you can download. I'll have the link below for this if you're interested. Very inexpensive, but I can't show it because it's paid content. But if you have this Simply Sketches by Allison Davis, I'm going to use the one that has 3 photos and it has hexagon shapes, so you'll know which sketch I'm using. But I can't show that because it is paid, and that's a no-no. You can't do that. You have to be respectful. So I have 3 photos here. So, with my formula, I have papers, photos, and a sketch. Now, here's my conundrum. I have 3 photos, and let me just cover this up a little bit. I have 3 photos. So, if I go a span across, that's basically, I don't have much room left for embellishments, and I do have a story to tell, because the load prompt was Houston, we have a problem, and you're going to see in my finished page what my titles are going to be. I'm so happy to create this page. Don't you just love scrapbooking? Don't you just love recording the story? Don't you just love when you can just record a moment in your life, and it just, when you look at it, it just makes you laugh and it makes you happy? That's what life's all about. Yes, okay. So, and I actually have a brochure that I'm actually going to use on this page. Now, here's the thing. You're going to be like, okay, Janet, you have 3 4x6 photos, which I honestly think I'm going to leave in that format because the colors of that blue sky was so beautiful that day. And how are you going to do this? How are you going to get this memorabilia on here? Because I want to, because yeah, where it says Shady Maple Smorgasbord, where food is a destination. Yeah, that's absolutely. Okay, so of course now it's Shady Maple. So what motif can I use? I can use this McGill maple leaf punch that I had in my counterfeit kit. So I'm definitely going to use that, maybe as some cluster bases, okay? And I'm definitely going to use this memorabilia, the actual restaurant brochure, because it's not just a restaurant, man. This is an event, folks. Yes. And I know because I have visited this place with some fellow scrapbookers, and what a day that was. So fun. So what was this from? I'm trying to think. This was last year. So this is in February. So it's not fall time, but you know, it's still, things are, you know, looking kind of sparse there. So I'm going to use that. Now with this Simple Stories Vintage Blessing, how am I going to do my papers? Well, okay. So if I'm looking at it, I'm going to have so much color. There isn't any papers in here that I can use as a background. I possibly could do this yellow. That's just not the vibe I'm getting. So, so I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to use a white or an ivory cardstock. Now, when you're looking at the collection, you can certainly use that as an indicator. Do I want white or do I want ivory? And sometimes it looks like it's both. So you can go by your photos. And in my photos, what do I have? I see more ivory than I see white. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this ivory textured basil as my background base. And I'm going to play with some papers. And because I'm not, you know, this is going to take up a chunk. I'm not going to have a lot of papers. I may simply use some scraps. We'll see what I have. No, I don't know. I want to get some florals in there. Also, I want to use this Mega Punch. And also, I saw on the sticker sheet, there was this tree, which was actually represented in these trees in the photo. So I think I'm going to use that somehow. So that is my plan. I'm so excited to play, so excited to use this load prompt, because I would not have taken this restaurant, this little event destination, I would not have took it this way, and it is a favorite place for my husband. So I just can't wait to get this done and show it to him. So okay, I will be back with a finished page where food is a destination. Okay, come back. I will have a finished page. I wanted to pop in for a couple minutes because I had a few subscribers that asked could they see some of my middle process and how I go about laying things out on my page when I go to scrap. And I thought I would definitely do that on this layout, this start to finish. So of course I decided on my background as far as getting in that color that I wanted of this maroon. And then of course I used my ivory cardstock, and nothing is adhered. Everything is just loose on wax paper. And I have to have an idea for me before I started hearing things, because I change my mind, not a lot, but I start to layer things, and it helps me. Like right here, I have 3 stickers on this wax paper, and I already started a little bit of layering. I don't know if you can see that. And so I do that on my wax paper to give me some ideas, but yet I haven't finalized anything. And so that's why I just kind of lay things around. So even my papers aren't adhered, nothing is adhered. Now I did take this maroon, it was this paper here, and I did go ahead and gut that out, because if I want to use this on some other places of the layout and embellishments, and I thought maybe I would use that for my maple leaf, and so I wanted to go ahead and gut that so I'd have this to play with. Okay, so I do gut that if I choose to. I go ahead and gut that so I can play with this as I'm creating my page. And so I have everything laid out here. I have my photos here, and then the mat that I'm going to use for my photos, I have that there. And I also wanted to take in consideration when I'm doing this page, I wanted to include memorabilia. So I have to think of that now rather than it started hearing. Okay, and so my memorabilia is going to go in here, and I'm going to create a pocket, and I'll show how I'll do that, because what my plan is is that I'm going to use some fun foam. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is just cut this down, and I'm going to have to raise up this left where these two photos are so I can create a pocket here on the right. And I'll talk more about that at the end, but that's my plan for now. And then I have some embellishments here. I'm going to do more of a diagonal design, and I have some clusters started here. I have an idea of some things I'm going to do for this cluster, and what I do is I just have it all laid here on wax paper, some ideas. And then of course I have my washi laying here. And I already have this stuck down. If you can see, I have this blue here, and I have this floral here. And then I have this navy laying here because I'm going to layer washi on top of washi. So that's why I have it laying there. So that is just what I do, is I just kind of place things in an area. And if that means ripping up my wax paper, I do that. I'm not afraid to rip up my wax paper to lay things where I may want them to be. Okay, so that is how I have my middle process going. Now my title. Okay, I know what my title is going to say. I just had to figure out what I want to use is for an alpha, because in my kit I went to go pull some letters. Well, there wasn't anything in the kit, and then I start to look. I thought, well, was there no alphas in that kit? And I looked at the manufacturer's info. No alphas. So, and that's just great. So, and no big deal. I just went and pulled a couple thickers, and so I'll talk more about as to why I picked what I did, but this is my choices. And so I will put my title on some wax paper, and I will figure out the placement of that. And so again, just playing around, nothing is adhered, and that way I can change my mind as I go. So that is my middle process, and I'm probably going to put some photo corners up there, so I might as well go pull them. Yes. Now, with what I did with my kit, all I had to play with was this 12 by 12 sticker sheet, right? So I pulled a couple of those elements on the wax paper that caught my eye right off the bat, and that's how I started to play with that. And then I just pulled a few elements from my stash, my inventory. And so then what I do is I look at these. I pulled 4 things, okay? Actually, no, 5 things, okay? So I have 5 little things. And honestly, this is just like in a bin. It took like 2 seconds to go get. And so I wanted to use a burlap bow and some craft stickers. And I wanted to get a donut on there, and I'll tell you why. And then these Chamel puppies, they were just laying there. And of course, some more maple motifs. And so what I did was I pulled those, and then I actually just went ahead and pulled them off the sheet. So now I don't have to deal with these 5 sheets. No, I now have them to my left. I'm now dealing with what's on my wax paper. So again, with a kit, even a manufacturer's kit, you narrow your choices. And then on my wax paper, I narrowed my choices even more. I just pulled things from, oh, wait, I don't have to deal with those 5 packages. No, I don't want to deal with that. No, I just want to deal with what's on my wax paper here. So then what I'll do now is I'll shift everything to the left and to the right, and I'll start adhering my photos, and I will work from my base and work up. So I just put everything to the side, to the left, to the right, where I think I may want things, and then I'll just keep my washi there so I know where I want it to do. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll just, unwrap my washi, and I will stick it in the vicinity where I wanted it on my page. So I know my washi is going to go underneath these embellishments, and this washi is going to go on the bottom. That is how I do my placement. I just use my area on my desk as part of my layout, like an extension, really. Okay, so I'm going to get out another piece of wax paper. I'm going to pour out my title and get a little bit of playing up there, and then I'll start adhering everything. So I wanted to show a little bit of my middle process, how I do it. Again, just narrowing choices and playing. That's my middle process. So, okay, I will be back with my finished page. Okay, I am back with my finished page, and I love how it turned out, because once again, and I know I say this all the time, I would not have taken this layout in this direction without the load prompt. I just would not have. So again, all the information for load is listed below. So what was I playing with? I was playing with the Simple Stories Vintage Blessings collection. And I had asked in a previous segment, did you consider this a fall line? Because I really didn't. But as I was looking at the papers and the motifs, it did have Happy Fall and October and Blessed, and I just did not consider this a fall line. And I'm glad I didn't, because these aren't fall photos, and I consider this more of a home, family, kitchen type vibe. So, if something is a fall collection but you don't consider it fall, don't put it in fall. So I'm glad I did not have it in the fall category. That was just a happy accident. I didn't know that. Okay, so what I did was I took that 12 by 12 mini burgundy floral as my very background mat, and I gutted that. And that's what I have left over. And then I used that ivory basil cardstock as my background, basically because I had so much going on. I knew I wanted to have kind of a not so busy paper for my background. And then I used this yellow gingham for my photo mat. And so I knew I wanted to get this memorabilia on there, so I'll talk about that in a minute because I want to give you a little mini visual of how that looks on reverse. And so again, I used a Scrapbook Generations sketch for my springboard as far as I wanted to use my photos in this format because, you know, 3 4x6 photos, right there's your layout. So I kept with the diagonal design. It really does not kind of look like their sketch, but the bare bones is the same. So again, it was a springboard, something to get me started like in 2 seconds. So I love that. And so I have to talk about the title right off the bat because this was day 5 of the load event, and the prompt was basically around the quote, Houston, we have a problem, that type of thing. Or you could create a layout that had a large number of embellishments. And you know what? I kind of did both. But so instead of saying Houston, we have a problem, I used the title, Houston, we have landed, exclamation point. And I'm so excited over this because when we get there, you know, it's quite a drive for us. You know, quite a drive, like a 3-hour drive, okay? So when we go there, it's like a big deal when you finally get there and you get in and you get to eat, and yeah, it is an event. So I'm going to journal about that. So I have my title up here. My journaling will go down here, and I actually have 2 journaling mats already adhered because my journaling will go right on top of this. So my journaling will have 2 double mats on top of another mat on top of another mat. So it was just to help me give some height down here because I have height underneath my photos so I could get my memorabilia in. Okay, so up here I have my title. I used 2 different fonts. I used a thicker burlap because it tied in with the burlap I wanted to put down here on the bottom. And I used brown, you know, kind of went with everything. And then I used a pie and a puffy sticker and a donut. Now I want to show you this donut. Now this is not the type of product I buy a lot of because it's more whimsical for me. This is kind of like a doodlebug feel. Because I had the smiley faces, I won't use that. So I knew going into buying this pack that I wanted to make sure I have something that covers up these smiley faces. And so that's what I did. I just used one of Chamel's puffy stickers and I covered up where the face was. So that way I still get my donut on there, but I don't want something too whimsical. You know, that's just not the kind of style I use. So I just made sure I covered up the smiley face. And so remember, I always say, use your embellishments not the way they were intended. Yes, cover things up, rip things up, you know, and have fun. I used a geotag, you know, because we have landed, and I used, again, this McGill maple punch to get in some more of that motif of the maple leaf. And then, of course, I used enamel dots. Now, I wanted to show something. Again, I used this Martha Stewart stem punch, and I used this burgundy to create some more embellishments because I wanted to get more of that burgundy in from the background mat. So again, when you gut something, use that as embellishments to tie in more of your colors. So that's what I did. And I wanted to show you something. I used this leaf in such a way. You don't really find the stem of a leaf on a pie, but I used this leaf and these 3 enamel dots that are in a visual triangle. I use them to point your eye towards that. Okay, so that's just a little design trick you can do. Use your embellishments in such a way that you use them on purpose to make someone's eye go in the direction you want. So these enamel dots that are blue, that's in a visual triangle and it points basically that way, and then this stem, it is actually direction of that stem is pointing that way, so it just keeps your eye going this way. Okay, and so basically if no one goes down here, look at this diagonal, at least they get the memorabilia, and I'll show you how I did that. So in order to get my 4x6 photos to span across, I did cut a little bit from each because I wanted this mat of this yellow gingham to show up. Because sometimes, I don't know what it is over the last several years, I don't like photos that are touching up against. I like that little bit of differential space between the photos. I like that, you know, so I kind of have a mat without doing a mat. And then down here I used that tree, again, you know, maple, that type of thing. It's not a maple leaf, but it's close to it. And again, another punch shape. I used a car because we're talking about travel, another puffy sticker, Chamel puffy sticker that says travel, and again, enamel dots, and a craft sticker that says greatest pleasures in life. Yes, which is eating for some of us. Okay, and then I did use some photo corners up at the top, and I have some close-ups at the back of the layout, and I have a corner sticking up. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use my tacky And some people have asked me again about this yellow fine line applicator, and I will put that below, because you do not have to have the fine line bottle to use the fine line tip, okay? And so I have that information listed below. Okay, so now let's talk about this memorabilia that I included, and then also how did I get that on this page, because, you know, for memorabilia, you want to access it easily, and you want to be able to put it in easily. Now, I don't do interactive pages, so a lot of the things that I put on my pages to be accessed, it will be from the top. Okay, I don't like to cut into my page protectors. I don't want access to the side. It has to be at the top. Okay, and so what I did was I have the brochure, and then I have some information about the place, because it is a very staggering place to visit. For food, yeah, okay. And then I used one of those Tim Holtz mini clips just to clip them together, because I want them pulled out together. And then another thing you can do on your brochures is you can maybe use some stickers, put the date, use another sticker to emphasize. So this is just not a plain Jane brochure hanging around over here. So yes, you can actually use some stickers and alphas to put the date and things like that. So that just goes right in like that. And if you notice, I'll turn this. This does not have a lot of way to go. So it's not going to fall out, because it just doesn't have, it has wiggle room, but it doesn't have a ton. Okay. And then also too, you notice with my brochure, what does it say? Shady Maple Smorgasbord. So of course I made sure, since this was mentioned over here, I didn't say any of those three words over here, okay? Because if something is said or represented, actually, look, oh my goodness, shut the front door. Look at this memorabilia. And remember, I was just saying Shady Maple Smorgasbord. Well, look here, what does it say? Same thing, and over here it says same thing. So guess what I have? I have a visual triangle. I have to show this. Look, I have a visual triangle here, here, and here, and with all, not only is it text, not only does it say the three say the same exact words, and not only is there a maple leaf represented in every one of that. That is a visual triangle with a visual triangle with a visual triangle, and I did not even plan that. Oh my goodness, I love that. So as I was saying before I got excited, yes, I know I get excited over little things. Oh well, that's life. Okay, so what I wanted to say is, if something is represented in your photo here and here, I certainly did not have to come with a title that had anything to do with the name of this restaurant. No. So of course the load prompt helped with that. Okay, can't say enough about load, but I am absolutely loving that I have a visual triangle with not only that title, but with the maple leaf and text. Love that. Love that. Okay, so now how did I do this mat here? Because if you look at from where this blue washi is to this blue washi, that is one mat, okay? And it's on top of foam, fun foam. And so of course I put my washi over my paper here and here, and this is washi on top of washi. So I took this Blue Memories washi and I put it over top of the Simple Stories washi, and at the bottom I put another navy washi, okay? And so I just, you know, to introduce another color, because I didn't want it to look too fall, because it is in February, and also too, I wanted to play off a little bit of this gorgeous blue that was in the photos. Okay, now what else I wanted to say? With this washi, I made sure I put my washi before I started to do any kind of work for my mat, because there's no way, I don't know if I put this way if you can see it, I have some dimension there, so there's no way I could wrap that washi the whole way around that layout. I had to wrap the washi around my mat before I started adhering the mat, if that makes sense, okay? And so if this washi goes underneath my mat, it doesn't go around to the back of my layout. I'm sorry, that probably made no sense, but anyways, so to do this mat, of course it's 12 inches and it extended because I was going to need it, and then also I had to make sure I paid attention how much my memorabilia was going to be taking up this space over here. So I have a little visual that I created so we could talk about how did I do that memorabilia. Okay, so this is, just consider this is my mat, it's just a smaller version, and so then I knew my memorabilia. Let's say this was going to be my memorabilia, okay? I wanted to create a pocket, so what I did was I flipped this over. Of course, you know you're working in reverse, so what I did, instead of flipping it over this way, I flipped it over this way. Okay, does that make sense? Because I know my memorabilia is going to be here, so I don't want to be working on this side. I wanted to take my mat and flip it this way. Okay, and then of course what I did was I just added fun foam, and I just even cut up the fun foam to make room for my memorabilia, which will go right here. Okay, so what I did was I took just some ATG and I put a generous amount, and then I took this foam to the edge, and again to the edge, and then down here to the edge. So basically what you do is when you're creating memorabilia pocket, you only want one opening. Okay, and you want to make sure when you create this pocket that your memorabilia cannot slide through. Okay, let me cut that down just a tad so it looks actual like a memorabilia. I'll get the right size here. Okay, okay, so you want to make sure that your memorabilia can slide in and out, but it has a little bit of wiggle room, but it can't extend past your mat. So you see why, that's why I have to put some fun foam at the bottom, because I'm actually creating a pocket right there. Okay, now this is the back side we're working with, okay? So actually it would look like this, okay? But then you can't see where just pretend that's memorabilia, okay? So again, now when I first did this, when I was working on this, I did not have fun foam on this side. Well, then it wasn't going to adhere very well, so I had to make sure. Okay, and I put that fun foam, and so then I used ATG to adhere the fun foam, and then I made sure I put a generous amount of ATG on this side to stick to my layout. So then when I would flip this over, okay, that's my fun foam. It's all, you don't want anything showing, and then that's where my pocket would be. Okay, so that's all that is. It's just a piece of paper with fun foam, and that's how I created my pocket, just like that. Okay, and that's what it looks like if I would take off that yellow gingham on that mat. This is what it would look like. I have fun foam surrounding that brochure, but I have a little bit of wiggle room, but it can't go past and it can't go this way, okay, because that foam is adhered very well with that ATG. I hope that gave a little bit of visual, because I know a lot of us scrapbookers are visual learners. I think there's something with that. I think that's why we like scrapbooking, because we're visual people. Yes. So that's all that is. I have fun foam completely underneath this, fun foam down here, and I have fun foam over here. And so that's why that pocket has a little bit of wiggle room, but it can't go, it's not going to go any further past that. No, absolutely. Okay, now you'll see that this brochure takes up a lot of this space over here. Well, it might as well, because the photos took up so much room. I don't really need, I don't need that space showing. I mean, that definitely gives you a breather, but it's more important that I have this memorabilia. It doesn't have to be on the front of a magazine, does it? No. Okay, so then my journaling will go down here, and then I will be finished with this page. Absolutely. So excited how it turned out. I got some actual, a donut on there, because that is a real popular thing for this place, is their donuts. And I was looking on their brochure. Oh, let me pull this up, because there was some fun facts. And I think, now the fun facts I have is from 2016. Yes, they made more than 2 million donuts. 2 million donuts at this little place that's in the middle of nowhere. It's one of those situations, you build it and they will come. Yes, and if you've ever been to Shady Maple in Lancaster, PA, well, it's not in actual town of Lancaster, but it's in that vicinity, that it is in the middle of nowhere, and to make 2 million donuts, well, you go Shady Maple. Okay, so there we go. That is my finished page using the load prompt, which I love. And then I actually got to include memorabilia, which that was part of my plan when I had printed the photos. But, to have that title on there, my husband will just love it. Just love it. Okay, now when you're using brochures, don't forget to pull out those Tim Holtz little paper clips, add a few stickers, have some fun with that. And now let's talk about leftovers, because I do get that question. With my leftovers, of course, my washi will go back where I store my washi. And then also leftover photos, I put the date on, and that will go for another story idea. And then I also had this leftover photo, which I won't be using, so that's going to go in the trash. Okay, and then leftover papers, this will go with my scraps, which I just had that. I don't know what I did with it. Anyways, in my collection I have, what did I do with it? Oh, great gravy train. I do not like, oh, there we go. Whew. Man, I was sweating bullets. I don't like to lose things. So I just have a page protector, and I will put my scraps right in with that, right in with my collection, because you can't keep something like that. in 12 papers, no. But I want to keep this as a collection. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so that's all I have for this start to finish using a load prompt, and just had fun. Yes. Houston, we have landed. Okay, come back to RTS because you never know what we're going to learn. Bye.